Morning, everybody. Sorry we're a couple minutes late. We had a technical difficulty here at the Treasurer's office. I'm North Carolina State Treasurer Dale Falwell here for our monthly Ask Me Anything. The statement that we put out announcing this event said that we would discuss state retirement plans, what's going on with the UNC, ECU withdrawal from the pension, the state health plan, runaway costs that we're facing dealing with the obesity drugs, and anything else that's on your mind that you'd like to ask me about. We continue to address these matters and any other matters that are coming before the Treasurer's office. We are watching the pennies and the paper clips, and we appreciate all your interest in these topics. I think it's best that we go ahead and start with questions. So first question.
Hey, Mr. Treasurer, it's Joe Bruno from Channel 9 in Charlotte. Hope you're doing well.
Yes, hope you are.
Got a question because voters are heading to the polls today on the $2.5 billion bond for CMS. I know you've been hesitant to comment before you know whether it passes or not. It's election day now. By the time it airs, polls will likely have closed or just about to. I'm just wondering if you have any additional thoughts on it now that it's looking like voters will soon have a decision on it.
Joe, we have obviously worked with CMS in the past, relayed this specific issue. And in addition to that, we have also changed our procedure at the Local Government Commission. In times past, we would actually approve a bond being issued before the voters had approved it. So we've sort of got things in the right sequence now regarding these bond referendums. I think whether it's the CMS bond referendum or the Guilford County School bond referendum, we're talking about amounts of money here that once they're all issued are going to exceed the general obligation debt of the state of North Carolina. And I think all these local governments need to look at all the things that are driving the increased cost of public school construction and figure out how to get more out of less. I want to thank CMS in this particular case because something that I worked on over a decade ago to inform the voters about the potential tax implication and the interest costs associated with this bond referendum. And I just want to applaud the sunshine and the courage that they took at CMS to actually put this information on the ballot, as I understand it, Joe.
Thank you.
Joe, I will answer, and one additional answer. We are going to be focused on the North Carolina Education Lottery as it relates to public school construction. I was actually on the floor as a member of the General Assembly when the lottery passed by just one vote. And I think that revisiting the lottery proceeds as it relates to public school construction to make sure that these rural communities, unlike CMS, who are facing depopulation in their communities and a stagnant tax base, that the lottery, whose profits have doubled over the projections, that the 40% of the lottery proceeds toward public school construction is going for its intended purpose. And Joe, I would add to that, that even to the level of detail, that this money should be available for renovations and repairs. You know, so many of these large bond referendums are the result of maintenance that was deferred or not done. So I think the lottery proceeds, now that the profit of the lottery is doubled, that the 40% of the public school construction money needs to go toward public school construction, and there should not be a disincentive to do repair and renovations on some of these amazing schools across North Carolina, some of which have good bones to them. but they need new legs and arms. For example, Old Town Elementary there in Winston-Salem, a couple miles north of Wake Forest University. So that wasn't exactly your question, but I will tell you that getting to the bottom of questions like that may put some of these school systems in a situation where these bond referendum are not quite so large. And lastly, Joe, you didn't ask me about this. Just in the last 8 months, we have approved hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars of bond referenda or refinancings that have to do with the Charlotte Mecklenburg area. Some has to do with an airport, some has to do with the basketball arena. And I think it's very important. And when we talk about this school bond referendum, we talk about the fact there have been hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars that have been approved just in the last few months out of the local government commission that will have a tax impact on the people of that community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next question.
Hey, I can jump in. This is Teddy Rosenbluth from the News and Observer.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Great.
I was just hoping you can give us maybe a bit of an update on the GLP-1 issue. Maybe could talk about what sort of coverage options you're considering, whether it's still the 5 that you laid out at last month's meeting or whether that has changed, and whether the state health plan still recommends removing these completely from the formulary.
Teddy, thank you for your interest in this story. I spoke to a couple of hundred people last night who are involved in one of the major health insurers in the state of North Carolina, and they are also experiencing runaway costs with this drug. So the work that the News and Observer has done to put sunshine on not the emotional or the political part of this, but the actual financial part of this, I think has been extremely valuable. In addition to that, it's public record that our pension plan does business with Blackstone. Blackstone, there's lots of rocks, stones, and words with black in them in the investment world. Blackstone just had an investor conference that talked about what other states have been talking about and what Barron's has been talking about and what you've been talking about the potential of the cost of this drug bankrupting healthcare plans. It's so interesting, Teddy, and I think you pointed out in your article that Medicare nor Medicaid cover this particular topic. But specific to your question, we are doing at the state health plan, the staff is working on exactly what the board asked them to work on. One is that we have a policy regarding the moratorium on new prescriptions beyond January 1st, and the board voted on that. The staff is considering and talking to other states as we try to figure out what's right, get it right, and keep it right on a going forward basis. Number 3, we continue to investigate this mathematical curiosity to me as to how the state health plan of North Carolina is as big as it is, but how it accounts with this one drug for percentages of the North American profit of one of the most profitable companies in the world. We're investigating how all that is sort of, quote, jumping up on the table in terms of who's prescribing them, how are they being prescribed, what is the follow-up on whether the drugs are actually being that there's adherence to the drug protocol and things of that nature. In addition to that, which we discussed in the state health plan board meeting, we're also looking at the potential of what may be happening on the black market through Amazon or other types of Amazon marketplace and other types of venue. It's a funny word coming from me this morning, but the word's arbitrage. And when someone can buy something for a copay less than $100 and has the potential of selling that on Amazon Marketplace. These are all the things that we're looking at as it relates to these particular drugs. And so my quick answer to your short question is that we're doing exactly what we said we were going to do in the board meeting regarding this. And it never fails that every day someone is texting me, someone is emailing me about another health plan around the United States who are deeply concerned about their solvency. And I forget, Sam, which one it was, Minnesota, some state out in the Midwest, where they're projected to spend over $110 million on this particular drug. Yeah, it was Minnesota. So whether it's Minnesota, whether it's Texas, whether it's North Carolina, we can continue to pursue all avenues. I want to repeat what I've said many times before. We are not qualified to discuss the efficacy of this drug, and we've never disputed the efficacy of this drug. We do know that this problem will only get worse as this drug, which is currently, I'm holding up in my hand right here, becomes available to be administered orally through a tablet. And all we're asking for, Teddy, is that this drug that's being sold to us at this price be offered to those that teach, protect, and serve for this price, which is the price that's being sold for people in their home country of Denmark. We think if we can get this price down to what people in Denmark are paying, we got a shot at actually managing this crisis. And plus, it will also mean we're not being gouged.
Could I just jump in with a really quick follow-up question?
Yes.
You mentioned this moratorium, and my understanding was it was a temporary moratorium, and I'm just wondering whether you can give any more information about how long you would expect that this would last, or whether it's just until the board makes a more official ruling on the coverage.
The moratorium will be in place. Great follow-up question, Teddy. The moratorium will be in place until the board comes back together and hears the recommendations and the staff and the suggestions from the staff about how to move forward. But these other things that I've mentioned are vitally important in this process, and I think that Teddy, that our putting sunshine on this topic has made people who run the Medicaid program and the Medicare program for the federal government really realize that approving this is not a small thing. It's actually a very big thing. So whatever we're concerned about in terms of $170 million, when this gets expanded, or if it gets expanded into Medicaid or Medicare, we're talking about billions and billions of dollars. And those billions of dollars are going to come from a government that's already bankrupt, which is the federal government of the United States.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Hey, Seth, you got the floor.
Hey, good morning. Seth Efron with Capital Broadcasting. Do you have any update on the situation and impact of the UNC ECU healthcare proposal to withdraw from the state's pension and healthcare systems, and look at just what that impact would be, and if you have any greater or lesser concerns?
Seth, thank you for joining us, and thank you for your interest. Our concerns are growing, not mathematically, but exponentially. When this is a direct attack on the state pension system and the state healthcare system that UNC Healthcare and East Carolina University have been married to for over a half a century, your whole lifetime, basically, Seth. And the fact is that the more nuances to this, the more we realize what a problem it is. Number one, and I have no way of gauging this, Seth. I'm not sure that the employees at UNC Healthcare are even aware this is going on. Secondly, there's unintended consequences especially as it relates to the fact that what they're trying to do is divorce the state health plan, divorce the state pension plan, and leave all their liabilities behind for everybody else in this family to pay. So I say this as a member of the community college board. Eventually, what UNC Healthcare is trying to do is going to raise the cost of running community colleges. It's going to raise the cost of the Department of Transportation. It's going to raise the cost of corrections. It's going to raise the cost of public education. It's going to raise the employer contribution rate and the cost on everyone else in this family if this proceeds. UNC Healthcare has, and there's always also other nuances like our flexible spending accounts. We manage a lot of stuff at the treasurer's office, but the flexible spending accounts are managed out of OSHR and the governor's office. And so when people have just gone through open enrollment and said that they would like to put, $5,000 away for childcare pre-tax, which by the way only pays about a third of what childcare costs in Wake County, for example. When they say that, or they put $3,000 in their flexible spending account to cover out-of-pocket medical and dental and other types of cost, when those types of things are happening, and then they're going to divorce probably also from the flexible spending account mid-year, you can see just how complicated this is going to be. On top of the fact that, in my opinion, that the employees of UNC Healthcare and ECU are not even aware this is going on. A question back to me, Seth, may be, well, this only affects new hires. But what if you have somebody who is working at UNC Healthcare who's been there 8 years, they're vested in the pension system, they decide to go out on maternity leave or some other leave for a few years, and then they want to come back into the system. They will not be allowed to earn service credit inside the pension system. And every attempt that we have made to talk to the people at UNC Healthcare about this decision has been met with, we're not interested. We're not interested in anything you have to say about this in committee. We're not interested in any unintended consequences. This is something we're going to do, and that this is why UNC Healthcare and the management at UNC Healthcare, that's why they put this in the budget, and the word is must, not should consider, not may, but must do this. And it's very, very important, Seth, for everyone to know that 90% of the people who work for UNC Healthcare, and we're going to talk about retirement readiness for one brief moment. When you are a low income person, which I was for most of my life, when you have 90% of the low income people who it's more difficult, especially in this inflationary period, to get retirement ready, when you have 90% of the people who currently have an option today between the ORP and the retirement system, 91% of the people who make less than $40,000 a year choose the certainty and the efficiency of being involved in the retirement system. So this is some way for UNC Healthcare to no longer be a governmental agency. And in my opinion, I'm going on the record as saying this, is probably going to be to the benefit of people who don't make less than $40,000 a year, but probably make $400,000 a year. That's where all this is headed. And my job as the keeper of the public purse is to protect and defend our pension and state health plan. I've done that at every turn, and I'm definitely going to do that in this particular case. We have a policy that we have implemented in times past when a local government or an ABC commission or a charter school wants to divorce from our pension and health plan. We have a system and a process set up to how we deal with that financially, and we are going to apply every word of that policy to what UNC and ECU are trying to do.
This seems, from what you're saying, to have had a lot of very, very significant consequences. Do you feel that the legislature considered the things that it needed to before making this law? And is it your view that when the legislature comes back, it might be a good idea for the legislature to reconsider this and take further action? And if so, what would that be?
Well, I'm a former legislator, and I never, and as the keeper of the public purse, I've never spoken to the motives or the intent of the legislature. I would tell you that I don't know how the legislature is going to come back and deal with this since this law goes into effect on January 1st. As it relates to the state health plan, which is probably going to be happening at the end of the fiscal year, that may be a little different topic. But if the legislature is intent on torpedoing one of the best funded and the most efficient pension plans in North America, then they just need to do that. But, doing this by having one governmental entity do it, one little entity at a time, the fact is, and I want to be crystal clear about this, this is a divorce where UNC Healthcare and ECU, and we don't even know what ECU really is anymore because of Vidant and the blurriness between ECU and ECU Vidant and ECU physicians. We don't even know what that word really even means anymore. But the fact is that the General Assembly wants to torpedo one of the best funded and the most efficient pension plan in North America 2 years in a row. Then this is the way that they can do it. But that will be their decision. But my job, which is what I've said for the last 8 years, as long as I'm the keeper of the public purse, I will protect and defend and keep the $1 billion liability on the healthcare where they're trying to just be able to offer healthcare to young, healthy people and leave the rest for everybody else in the family, or the over $500 million liability for the pension plan. We're going to protect and defend that to the best of our ability. Follow up, Seth?
No, I appreciate it. Again, the legislature is going to come back in later this month and a couple more times to do some, I guess, just clean up and other things, and could take those things up when they're here. And that was the reason for my question, was that, is this of such urgency that you might offer up some suggestions and look for them to act?
Yeah, if they want to listen, we'll be glad to help. But it's very clear that I say, Seth, this: people who come to work at that entity today have a choice between the ORP and the pension plan. So I'm not sure what problem they're actually trying to solve, other than to shift these liabilities onto the backs of other individuals. And I think that's a very important point. When somebody really asks, what problem that you're trying to solve. And as I said earlier, I think people were shocked when I got elected, maybe even shocked that I got reelected. But they were shocked that I have been consistent in saying that as long as I'm the state treasurer, that I will protect, figure out how to sustain, strengthen this pension plan for this and the next generation of public service workers. It's very difficult to do that when we have someone who wants to divorce from this family and leave billions of dollars of liabilities for the rest of the members of the family to pick up on. AP? Seth, I want to say this. Whether it's this or protecting consumers from medical debt, I mean, things like this can be dealt with in 15 minutes of legislative time. This is kind of a big deal if they choose to do it. AP?
Good morning, Treasurer. I was wondering if you could sort of outline a little bit of the problems going on with the obesity weight loss drugs and how that's impacting the state health plan. I noticed that you've mentioned there's a strain on it. Can you elaborate a little bit more as to what this is really doing?
I think AP, to try to put this in context, and somebody in this room will give me the thumbs up or thumbs down. The General Assembly just appropriated a 4% bonus for all the retirees, hundreds of thousands of retirees. The amount of money that we're expected to spend on this drug for just a few thousand people next year is equivalent to the 4% bonus paid to hundreds of thousands of retirees. That should just give you a sense of the scale of this, and not only where it is today, but where it's headed. Our projections are that we could spend $170 million on this drug next year, which is not covered by Medicare, which is not covered by Medicaid, where Barron's and has done an extensive report about the profitability of this drug and how it could bankrupt public service health plans like ours. The decisions that you can Google about what's happening in Texas and Minnesota, the symposium that Blackstone just had about how this is impacting, how this could impact businesses and their ability to even offer health care to their employees because of this one drug. We're not questioning the efficacy of this one drug. We want Novo Nordisk to offer this drug to those that teach, protect, and serve for the same price as they're offering the people in Denmark. If they were to do that, we think that we can manage through this process, even if we expect the usage to go up. Secondly, when this gets out of the shot form into a more oral form, we think the participation rates will go up. And as I said earlier, AP, I'm concerned about drug adherence. I'm concerned about people paying less than $100 copay to buy this drug and selling it on Amazon Marketplace. I'm concerned about how this drug gets prescribed and administered to start with for us to make up such a large percentage of what's going on. So these are all major concerns. We're not questioning the efficacy of it. What we're questioning is the fact that with such a small percentage of the people in the state health plan actually consuming this at this point, that this is going to shoot a hole through the state health plan next year. Financially, we were expected to have about a $26 million deficit in our state health plan next year. That is the operating loss with the state health plan because of the rising costs of healthcare and specialty drugs, and now that $26 million loss has potential of being over $150 million loss because of this one drug. And lastly, we have been able to freeze family premiums and individual premiums for going on 7 years in the state health plan. The individual premium for the base plan is $25. If this continues the way it's going, the potential of tripling the individual premium based on this one drug is very high.
Quick follow-up.
Always.
You mentioned if they brought the cost down to what they're charging in Denmark, can you sort of explain how much it's costing per person here versus what they're paying in Denmark? But also, we're talking specifically about Wegovy, right?
Yes, the one I'm holding up here. Yeah. And Saxena. Yeah, both. Which, by the way, the compounds, is my understanding, that's going into producing these drugs because they're so profitable, is taken away and creating shortages in other types of insulin products that people desperately need. Okay, so tell me your question one more time. I'm sorry.
Okay, first of all, you mentioned Denmark and what it's being sold at in Denmark versus here.
I got it. It's estimated to cost less than $275 in Denmark. And the retail price for this drug in the United States could be upwards of $2,000. After rebate, our drug, it's costing us $809 after a very aggressive rebate. But then we're told if we continue down this road, that our rebates, which add up to the hundreds of millions of dollars for all the drugs that we consume, that rebate could be in jeopardy by a pharmacy benefit manager. So this is a very interesting situation. It's completely avoidable by them offering this drug to us, to those that teach, protect, and serve for the same price as they're offering the people back in Denmark. I think some of you have seen the email that was sent to me by Novo Nordisk last week that called me irresponsible. I have been unable to figure out who actually wrote that email. I do know from reading the papers that the general manager of the North Carolina operations is no longer employed at Novo Nordisk. But I will tell you that I was not irresponsible when I was chairing the local government commission board last year, where we affirmed and approved a water treatment plant that's going to cost over $200 million, of which a big portion of that is going to go toward the plant that Novo Nordisk has in Clayton. So I don't know how irresponsible I could be when I'm actually, as the chair of a commission, approving debt on a small community like Clayton to build a water treatment plant that can meet the needs of this major corporation. You have a follow-up, AP?
Nope, I'm good, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. We'll wrap up this version of have Asked Me Anything. I will tell you that there's lots of other things going on at the Treasurer's office, not just about UNC and weight loss drugs. And it's an opportunity for me to tell you that last week, a publication came out called Governing Magazine, and the headline was, these are 3 Americans that Washington, D.C. should look to figure out how to actually manage. And I was honored to be one of those 3. The other 2 were the governors of South Dakota and the governor of Tennessee. I'm saying this to you not to draw attention to myself, but to draw attention to all the hardworking people at the Treasurer's office who make everything that we do jump up on the table. So whether we are trying to protect and defend our pension plan, whether we're trying to put sunshine on everything we're doing at the Treasurer's office, whether we're trying to keep the state health plan from going bankrupt, smashing all records out of nccash.com, our banking operation where we're having to be a goalie on fraud and embezzlement almost every day, as you can imagine, managing over $240 billion. I just want to tell you that the first thought that crossed my mind when I read that headline and read that article, as honored as I was to have my name included in that, was how thankful I was for the people who work at the Treasurer's office, who have managed us through the most volatile period of the modern era, who kept us in the check delivery business during COVID, who found a way through having a culture of conservatism, common sense, and courtesy to operate during COVID and other volatile periods. So I wanted to close my remarks today in honor of all the people who work at the Treasurer's office, who keep us in the check delivery business, that allow me to say these things. And I want to thank all the members of the press and their interest in these topics. I was honored to stand beside you as we try to make sure that all levels of government have sunshine, including the General Assembly. Thank you very much. This is the last call that we'll have before Thanksgiving. Wish all of you traveling mercies during that period of time, and God bless you.